Well, I'm working on the other tank, which I've been working on yesterday already. Just this one, different spots to patch it. Front little spots, top. The back is kind of the same. I did 2 strips on the side here. 2 strips. And down there I had to do a whole patch. And the bottom was patched last year a little bit, and then I had to do the center up there. I took the float gauge off because the float wasn't working, but it was leaking from it. Christoph is working on this thing. He's got a little fire under him. Yep. He spilled some oil. He had it in a pail and then spilled the pail. So he brought up the second welder, the Tweco. That thing is a screaming. But we lifted this up with a tractor a little bit. That way he could get into that housing a little bit better. And then this should be done for the most part today, I'm thinking. We got to build a manual tailgate latch still, so that will probably take the most time. I did that on the other tractor wagon. I made a handle one. He's smirking because the tailgate's not even on it anymore, so we'll see if the tailgate ever goes back on.
This will stay on.
Yeah, so I did make it on the other one, and then the tailgate was removed. Not forcefully, it was pulled with the pins, but that way bigger stuff could get hauled that wouldn't get lodged in the tailgate. So I put the ladder back here. And the reason I didn't plate whole sections is because I'm conserving on steel. So yes, there's no baffles in this one or the other one. And yes, it won't last very long without baffles. But at this stage, when our other tank was at it, we tried welding baffles back into it, and the steel's so thin, it just ripped it right back out. So unless you put brand new steel that's there, the baffles won't hold, and wrapping new steel like that isn't gonna work without having the old steel there to wrap against, like you saw in the last video. So what I did on the other one is on the outside on top, I welded some angle irons on it, and that stopped it from being able to bounce. So that should extend the life a little bit. We don't expect too many years out of these tanks anymore, but to prolong it 1 or 2 more, that's what we're good at. So I had to take this section out, which is the fill hole, because the fill hole was only holding on one side still. You can actually see on this side it was cracked to here. So I just finished cutting it off. I'm gonna bring a, that's actually 3/16 steel. Instead of what I've been using is 1/8 inch, just because it's on the top, because it's gonna have this action going on. And then I'm gonna weld that 4x4 on here, cut the hole out when I build a new fill box, stick that in it. So I think in that drum. But that's what's going on. I could have done 2 8-foot plates and just done the whole tank in one shot, but the middle right there only needs like 2 little plates put in, so we're just gonna do that, and maybe next year I'll replate the whole rest of the ceiling. But I do gotta finish taking out that float stuff because I cut the ends off because it was leaking like crazy and their float's gone. I didn't record anything else yesterday while working on it, but Christoph's finally back on this project after getting sidetracked for other stuff. But we came in with the tractor. I don't know if I recorded that we lifted this up a little bit so he could get underneath. Now he's building a latching handle because the tractors don't have air. And we think if we put a hydraulic piston on the back, it's just gonna twist everything, because air, once it hits a certain squeeze point, it's just gonna
130 pounds.
Yeah, so it's not gonna break the steel, but hydraulic,
Hydraulic's gonna push a lot more.
and yeah, unless you get one that has a stopper on it, but those are expensive. Yes. And a cheap handle will do pretty good. I think this will be just fine. So he's building this contraption right now, and then on this tank, I finished everything on top, and I haven't patched these 2 strips on this side because I was waiting to do the belly because I wanted to have the steel I was gonna cut off to do the side. So I have this strip, which I cut off that I'll be able to cut up and use for the side here. And you could see this, well, it was a 4x8, but I cut 10 inches off because it needs to be 38 inches to round that. And I cut this hitch thing off, which actually really shouldn't be a hitch because you'd rip the tank apart, but cut that out, 3 tack holes, and then we'll place it in there. I'll tack the center, and then we'll use my jack. This used to be this used to hold the teeth on for the grass head. So I shove it in that tight pipe because this ain't tall enough. Because this is welded on here, but I've showed this many times, but I needed to make it a little taller. I'll move that as I go down to push it in to the center holes. Well, this side will be centered because I cut that out perfect. We already had it in there once, and then I realized I had to cut holes. So we'll get that going, and Christoph's gonna help me at least put it back in there. And once I get it tacked, I can move the jack on my own. But that'll make its way to about here on the tank. What? So we'll see how that goes. We'll put the first plate in, and then I'll see how much of the second plate I need, because you got the propeller thing. So I'll probably stop right before it, since that steel's not too thin, so I don't have to worry about coning that out. But someone's gonna complain that I didn't put baffles in it, and we did that on the other bog coat once when it was this thick, and it just rips them out because the old steel ain't thick enough to hold it anymore. So I did the next best thing, and I put some plates on top, and that'll hold it for at least the year. It ain't perfectly level anymore, so I had to make it work. But this is good. It's 3/16 square, new fill hole. Yeah, it'll be just fine. I could have re-16th the whole ceiling, but I really didn't want to do that yet because this ceiling had another year left in it. Maybe next year I will. The amount of effort this took wasn't too bad, but cutting it all out, bringing whole sheets up here, it is a lot of work too. And all it is hauling manure. So people can complain, but it's hauling cow shit, so I don't care. See how this jack closer? Ready? Yeah. Which way? It doesn't matter. All set? Yep. What the fuck is this? Oh. Is that all the way back, or should I slide it back?
I don't think you can slide it much back. I mean, you can come and look at it, but I don't think.
Oh, okay.
But you're definitely not level, even.
What do you mean?
I think it has to come this way.
Oh.
Yep.
Alright, I'll measure.
I think you should have cut it wider on this side. I think you gotta take it down, make it because you weld, it won't go past the lip actually. I mean, it matches up nicely here, but the weld is keeping you from going up all the way.
Always something. Yep, you can see I measured it too tight. Not on the back, but on the sides. So I'll just let the jack down and cut it right in here. So I got the back tacked up, and then I actually jacked this up to make sure it was right. Snapped one of my tacks, but I did here too and here, so it's not the end of the world. And then I got the front being held up by my Leatherman, but it's touching on the front and the center. I filled this hole in. Now we're gonna run the jack for it, and you'll see Do the exact same thing to those two. Okay. I don't even think the camera was facing the right way. Got that. I know I didn't grind it because I didn't know exactly where the holes were going to line up. So we just scrape the paint away like that. I'll do a little better. We'll tack weld it and do the same right there. And we'll be good. And then we'll tack the front and then we can roll it. Okay, I got that all tacked up. It's all sitting purty, and I want to say I got it pretty centered, at least good enough. So I moved the jack. We're gonna show you how we're gonna do this. Okay, we'll tack it right here, and if I'll probably have to shove it up in this corner a little bit, but we'll do that all the way down, and because we tacked the center, it shouldn't affect this side, and then, yeah, should work pretty slick. We'll get it all tacked up in place. I got this mask, which you can now see how brown it is. It was pure white for welding on the shit tank here because the fumes, they suck. So, and you got manure particles, so it helps. I can wear this little thing under a welding helmet, and it just helps a lot. But I got the bottom done. Some of it does not look pretty, but it's holding. So now all I got left is these side strips, which is right here and right here, which is actually where the baffles used to be on the inside. But you can see how thin this tank is. If I weld it even to a little bit of a better spot, the tank's, it ain't gonna hold very long on it. So we're just gonna, how I supported it on top, and I'll plate this shut where the steel is a little thicker, and we're gonna run it. And I know it'll be just fine because we ran the other tank and it was just fine. All right. So I just finished this tank. Yes, we're not painting that stuff either because it's just not a big deal anymore for the however long this tank lasts. I don't care on painting that because we'll be back on it again someday. So this thing is done.
No, housing.
Oh, yep. Well, you were so close.
I was.
But she's greased. She works. We do got to dump it all the way, but
Not today.
we're getting it out because Roger's coming in the morning.
You know this.
Yeah, and he backs his pickup right up in here, so he's right up to the chopper. And we got to clean this mess up. He'll be here right in the early morning. He was here,
A little bit before 6.
yeah, a little bit before 6 he shows up. Ugh, nasty. So, that's 2 manure tanks ready to roll for this spring, both Bodcos. Now we're gonna pull my tri-axle in, and I'm gonna cut the back of that one out. And as long as everything's good, we're gonna weld baffles into that one. So that one is gonna get baffles, because it should still be thick enough, because this year was the first time it got a hole and just one in the back. So we're hoping, and this year the baffles went out on it too, so we'll see. We're probably gonna
Extend it.
Yeah, I want to, as long as it goes as I plan. I do plan to extend it at least 2 feet. We'll see. I don't know. That's the plan. What was Alex?
Excited.
When I told her I was going to extend that tank? She'd probably be like, extend it till it holds her whole trailer,
No.
but that's too much. No. Well, I just got done cutting the back of this tank. So I unhooked the spout right there on the top. Well, not spout, but the unloading pipe to that spot. It's on the roof. So I'm cutting the whole back of this off. You'll see that she's got holes along the edges. So the back is very thin because it blew through right here. That was the first hole this tank has ever got. On the top, it's actually a little worse in the back here. The fill pipe is actually about to fall in, so that was a lot more rust on it than I expected. So we're gonna replace this section. Was really good, but it's cut off anyways. Here I found some holes, but you can see it's cracked and a lot of it are all the way around. So some holes in this area, depending how it is, we'll cut it off, resheet this section to where it's bad, and then you can see how there's humps. It only cracked a little bit where that float is, and on the other side too, where there's anything that was solid because it moved off of it. The steel still looks pretty decent, so we'll just weld those holes, and then we're gonna baffle it where the seams are, because there's good steel there, and we'll see how that goes. And then the plan is to extend this tank, because this is only 58. 63s are like to here. It'll be some work to extend it, but depending on what we have for steel and time, and I would like to extend it. We'll see when that time comes though, but I gotta get the inside done. That's the most important. I just got back from Canada, grabbed the little 8480 over there. Got the loader here. We're getting ready to pull this back off. I'll hand this up to Andreas.
Alright.
Here you go. I just finished cutting it. We'll see how much I missed. Yeah, pick it up. I'm just gonna have him rip it off apparently. Nope, something's holding. We gotta block the tank. He's just gonna, he put some blocks under the tires because we disconnected it from the tractor. I'm just gonna, might have to put the tank brakes on. We disconnected it because I was plasma cutting, and I don't know if that electricity would affect the computer on the tractor. So I just disconnected it, but I think we're gonna connect the tank brakes. Yeah. Well, I had to do some more cutting on the bottom. There was crap in the way, and it didn't fully pull it. We got Philip in there now. Well, you can see it's moving. I missed a spot cutting. Couple spots. Hold a little. All right. Keep going. Back up. Whoa! You can see she's a little stuck right here. All right, give me a minute to get down. There we go. We're gonna go set this down somewhere. Alrighty, we got the tank inside. I gotta get a light in here because can't see anything, but there's no baffles. What?
Oh, we have 3 cameras. I don't find one. Oh, there's one.
I got one right here. Easy, muffin. I have one on the top, unless it fell off. So there's 2, and your third one you probably lost. So we drove it in with a tractor to about to where the back tire is, and then we scooted the 74 out. Then we took the Bobcat, we dragged this forwards, and then the skid steer only got it to about here. We stuck a jack under it and we pushed it just to get more room in the back. And then Roger was here today, and he's either going to be here tomorrow or the next day, and he'll finish this chopper up. Christoph will do some other stuff on it and be ready for spring. Wasn't a lot on it, but it definitely wasn't a cheap year either, so.
It wasn't too bad. For what it was expensive. But
It wasn't a lot of volume of stuff, but it wasn't cheap on those couple wear parts that were just.
oh, it wasn't wear parts. It was
One was in the.
2 shafts of a whole
roller.
bottom roll. No, it's the top roller, the top bar.
The one that's right there.
Yeah, that's it. And a couple plates that were housings were busted.
Shit that breaks.
Yep.
So that's that. So the plan with this is baffles are getting put in, and then after the baffles, I'm gonna extend this tank a couple feet. It's a 5,800-gallon tank right now, and then we'll extend it 2 or 3 feet. I think 4 feet is probably too much because it'll take too much weight off the tongue with where the axles are sitting compared to a 63. These are a couple inches more forwards, I believe. I've never fully measured it because I don't have a 63, but from when I've seen them in pictures, I think these tires are a little farther forwards. But we're gonna extend it a little bit. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. I had to cut that open because the back was all rusty, and because the back was rusty, I figured that'd be the easiest to do to get the steel in for the baffles, and the fill hole stuff like you saw is all rusted. So we're gonna replate 4 feet on the top. We'll cut it off on both sides, replate that, and then from there extend it. That's the plan.
He does have a mask on, but I don't think it's very fun. It's loud out here.
Okay, so I think Ferdy was trying to record some when I was using the needle gun, but he said it was really loud, which I believe. I have some earplugs in, which helps. But I did a bunch of needling, and then I went in with the plasma cutter, cut off. You can kind of see from here in the front. I made it look a lot cleaner. So that way all the dangling steel is gone. I left the thick stuff that's still there, so in the corners and stuff, you'll see random thick stuff. And then I also cut that top cross member. That one was still holding okay-ish, pretty decent actually. But I didn't want to leave it because I wanted to extend it with a new piece because it is already flimsy. So I'm already in there. I'm already putting new steel in. I'm gonna put that in new. I'm gonna put new 2 half-inch plates across, which is probably what this was originally. Look at that. Matt just showed up to pick up a load of sap. He has been hauling like crazy today. It's been running good today. So it's gonna get 2 new 1/2-inch cross members across, 1/2-inch thick flat stock. But I'm gonna have it butt against both walls and not just on those 90 plates that are still pretty decent to work on. And then we're gonna put a baffle on this half, a baffle on this half, and it'll just have a center thing like it used to. And then once I get the front one done, we'll work on the back one where you can see that I have the light hanging. Once that's all done, you can see a hole right there. All this flexing up and down, it just worked its way and got the thin points. So I'll either have to patch that, or I'll probably have to patch that, because I'm gonna put a new, well, I'm not showing my hand, from here to there, as far as a 4-foot plate will go, we're gonna put, because we're gonna close this box in. First off, it's all rotted and falling in, and second, it's got to get closed in for me to extend the tank, because the fill box is now going to have to be kind of in this area, I'm going to say. We'll see once it's all said and done. That's the last thing that's going to go in. So glad I got a mask on for this. And I do got a little fan underneath. Ferdy put it there. It's blowing air in the front, but you can't see that on the camera. So that's the plan. We'll use 3/16 steel. Is what this was originally. Now new tanks are 1/4 inch, so they last even longer before you got to start messing around inside of them and working. But that's what happens. Manure eats steel unless you go stainless. And I think back then this stainless wasn't an option for Hool. Now it is, but you pay for it. But it's a one-time deal basically, because that tank's gonna last as long as the running gear has life in it. And then you can put a new running gear under it, because technically the stainless steel tank shouldn't rot out unless you roll the thing and crumple it. So you can kind of see what's going on here. Got some welding work, is the right way to put it. It's 8 o'clock at night. So we're gonna end this video, and I'm gonna say thanks for watching. Till the next one.